Blog Talk Radio.
Evening, everybody. This is your girl, Sunny, from GFT Radio Show. I want to welcome you guys to tonight's show. It's going to be an extremely interesting topic with many different viewpoints. We want to say welcome to the listeners that are listening via blogtalkradio.com/GFT Radio Show. And if you guys want to check out our website, www.gftradioshow.com, we're going to kick this off right now. Clint, you want to say hi?
What's going on, good people out there? Now, I mean, we're going to really get deep with the Korryn Gaines thing tonight. I know a lot of people.
Yes, we're going to be talking about Korryn Gaines, and J-Bo will be calling in a little while, so stay tuned. You'll hear him on the line pretty soon. But, we're definitely going to kick off the topic and talk about Korryn Gaines, you know, the young lady who was shot and killed by police on August 1st of this year, you know, earlier this week. And we definitely want to talk about that. So, Clint, you want to kick that out?
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people out there that have been having a lot of debates with people, especially online. And even with some friends, me and my sister have been going back and forth. Because a lot of different views. Some people view what she did as her standing up for her rights. And, you know, I guess since there's a lot of people right now mad at the police, it's like anything that happens that involves them, automatically they want to blame the police, and they don't want to give the other individual, which is her, they don't want to give her no responsibility for her action and what went wrong in the situation. And in my opinion, she escalated the situation. She was in the wrong, and she almost got her son killed, and she got herself killed. You know, we don't know everything that happened, but what I do know, and what everybody knows, she did have a gun. You know, she barricaded. She would not come out. Her boyfriend had to escape the house with their 1-year-old child. And it comes out later that he was trying to get her to come out. He was trying to talk her down to come out. She wouldn't. And the whole time she's doing it, this is going on, she's streaming it live on the internet, which is crazy to me because, you know, as a mother, first of all, as a parent, period, your number one priority should be the safety of your children at all times. So you should not in any way put your child in harm's way. Now, if you in your heart, she feel like the cops are killing us, or the cops are, you know what I mean, against this, that, and the third, and that's why she did what she did, that alone, that motivation alone should have made her thought, well, if this escalates, they're not going to care about shooting my child. So why would I even put my child in this situation? There's a time and a place for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then, you know, she posted the other videos with the encounter with when she got pulled over a couple months ago. That's how all this started. Well, even then, you know, she was acting crazy, acting out then, telling the police that they're going to have to murder her, this, that, and the third, and her kids was in the car. You know, to me, I feel like she was going a little bit overboard. She was being excessive, you know, and it cost her life, and it ultimately also caused her son getting shot. So, in my opinion, you know, I really can't, you know, tactically, what can we say? Were the officers wrong? This, that, and the third? I don't know. Maybe. But what I do know is she put them in that position. You know, she could have easily just, you know, complied, because that's the word everybody want to use now is comply. You know, she could have easily just complied and then, you know, took it down, went to court, and fought her a good fight there. You know what I mean? But when your kids is involved, that's not the place you want to go start getting guns. You do that when you're trying to protect them. She wasn't trying to protect them. She was instigating. She was instigating, in my opinion. How do you feel?
Before I even chime in, I definitely got the number because I absentmindedly forgot to do that. If you guys want to join in this topic, you want to share your viewpoints on what we're talking about. If you don't agree with us, definitely call in. The number is 657-383-1155. The phone lines will be open at 10:15, and we're asking the callers because we don't know how many callers we're going to get. In the event we get a lot, We're going to do 2-minute intervals for callers to call in and share their opinions. But I want to say this for the first part because I actually had a conversation with several people at work today, and I think people are misinformed and misguided and don't know the situation in its entirety. Not that we know all of it, but people were confusing the day she got pulled over with the day she got shot and killed. They thought they were in the same day, as if the cops were following her home, and this whole altercation happened all in one day. I need people to read the paper to understand what's going on, and also on her Facebook account. She uploaded the initial video of her getting pulled over on the cops on March the 10th. Before her account was suspended, you would have saw that. So that's basically her incident, her initial incident with the cops and that whole situation. And that situation was she was pulled over because she didn't have a license plate on her car. She had a makeshift license plate that had a cardboard writing on it saying, I forget the saying that she had on that license plate, but that's why she got pulled over. It wasn't that she was driving while black. It said she happened to be riding on the street without a license plate on her car, and that's why she was stopped. And they, as Clint said, as the video goes on, not just to clip it, the little snippets that people saw or people shared on Facebook and various social media sites. It was a very long, extended video of her yelling at the cops, basically telling them that they're going to have to kill her. She thought that they were going to kidnap her and kidnap her kids. She didn't want them to take her car, which everybody knows if you don't have license or registration or if you don't have tags in your car, what's going to happen? When you get pulled over, your car is going to get towed. That's common sense. Everybody knows that drives. I don't even drive, and I know that. So that's what they were trying to do. And even the cop, I give this cop credit because she was being belligerent the entire time. Not to say that she wasn't right for voicing her opinion, but just how she was doing it. And she asked the cop for his information and his ID. He showed her that he didn't have to. Like, you know, he basically tried to be complacent to her to get her to act right because he saw that she had minors in the car. And he kept telling her on the video that, ma'am, you have kids in this car. And she said, so what, kill me. I got a family to take care of them. And it was like they were not even on that point. Like they were agitated, but they weren't, like, hostile.
Their kids was not her priority.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you when you said that when, as a parent, you are to protect your kids, not to put your kids in harm's way. And I said this to someone I was talking to on the phone today about the situation. I don't like my kids hanging around when I'm arguing with somebody because it's not a child's place to be in certain situations. Those are situations that if you feel that the cops are violating your rights, you need to at least be complacent because your kids are in the car. Like, had they been assholes and had they been those cops that just shoot and ask questions later, both her kids could have been dead also with her in the traffic stop. But she made it, and then she got a warrant issued because she failed to appear to court. So they served a search warrant or bench warrant, and that's exactly what they do with anyone else. When you have a warrant, they're going to come to your house and get you eventually. They came to her house to get her.
And be clear to people, it wasn't just a traffic ticket warrant. It was she got into it with the police.
Yeah. And then they come to her house, and she has a shotgun. Whether they force entry, whether they had a kid, doesn't matter. You already know how when you got a warrant, they kicking down your door. Everybody knows that. Whether you have a drug warrant, any type of warrant, they're gonna come find you. They're gonna come knock. You don't actually kick in the door, and I don't know why people were so hung up on them kicking her door and not using the key. It does not matter. They are coming to get the person that they're looking for. No one says, "Oh, can you come out?" No, they kick the door until people run. Like, let's act like let's take race out of this and let's understand the law and understand what happens in any other situation when people have warrants. They kick your door in. So that's what they did, and upon opening the door, she had a shotgun ready to shoot. And she told them that I would kill you. So I don't understand that situation. And then they were going, and then I kept reading more of the situation, and they were like, what pissed me off was they were like, oh, the boyfriend is a punk. He left her. He didn't protect her. This is why black men don't protect their women. He understood that there were kids involved. Now, I get it. Everybody was upset that he didn't grab her son. I get it. But from what all recollections are saying is that she had the shotgun and her son in the same hand. So if he tried to convince her to go and she was saying no, she could have shot him. So he's like, you know what, let me take my child and go. I'm sorry. My kids' fathers could be assholes and do what they want to do. You're not going to put my kids in harm's way. I'm going to take my kid and go. You want to get killed, that's on your time. I need to protect my baby. So I respect that man for getting his child out, a defenseless 1-year-old, out of the house and getting her to safety.
They mad at him for using intelligence.
Yeah.
You feel me? He was intelligent in the situation. He knew that was a lose-lose situation. You know what I mean? So he got out of there with his child because he knew if he would have stayed, it would have been both parents dead, both kids dead probably. So, you know, everybody talking about the man being a punk not defending his woman. No. I mean, that's idiotic. That's an idiotic statement. I don't respect that.
I've read so many idiotic statements. People are like, oh, rest in peace, she shouldn't have been killed. I get it. She shouldn't have been killed. But when you're pointing a gun at cops and saying it's going to kill them, what do you think is going to happen? I need y'all to be realistic about it. I get what you guys are saying. Like, it's black, you know, the white cop, whatever. You don't know what cop it is. It was multiple cops at the door. Like, at this point, it was just cops at her door trying to take her in like they do anybody else that has a warrant. And she came and she had a gun and it was like, I'm shooting, y'all gonna have to kill me. Like she said, in the video, her getting pulled over, she was trying to say, y'all gonna have to kill me. And now she's in a house hunt. Like she was acting belligerent on the video, and I get it. She was claiming she was a sovereign citizen. She was pro-black, and I get people like, oh well, you know, she was a citizen. Like they killed a good woman. Something had been wrong with her because she didn't care about her kids.
Exactly.
I get what you guys are saying, that she stood up for how she felt, but, I mean, you can stand up all you want. I commend you for that, but be mindful that you have kids involved. Like, do that on your own time when your kids are around. It could have been at daycare, school, something else. I don't respect a mother putting her kids the wrong way.
What point was she trying to make?
She said in the video, when she got pulled over, if y'all kill me, my kid's going to live good. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, but my point
is... Like, your kids were in the car, too.
What point was she trying to make? Now, I mean, what was her stance? What was she, trying to stand? Well, if you don't stand for, you know how the saying go, if you don't stand for anything. What was she standing for? Because I don't get it. I don't get her. She wasn't standing up for no right. She was in the wrong from the door. From the moment she got pulled over, right or wrong. Was she not in the wrong? She had no license plates.
She didn't have a license. She had a license plate on her car. Jabril, you want to chime in?
I think I agree with y'all. Like, I hear what Clint's saying. Like, she was wrong from the start. Like, that whole situation was just crazy. I mean, she had already commented that she was, like, I watched the whole video. It was like a 20-minute long video, and I watched the whole thing. And, like, in that video, she said that the cops was going to have to murder her. She was telling her kids and everything that she was ready to die, you know, telling them she loved them and all this other kind of stuff, like, from the beginning. So she kind of had it set that was in her mind that, I mean, she got pulled over for not having plates on her car. She talking about she was ready to die for that, about having to get murdered over not having plates. So that was a little out of control and wild from the beginning.
Well, his circle saying that they were going to kidnap her. They weren't going to take her car. She was suing the county because the county took her plate. And, you know, I get it. You're mad. They took your plates. Whatever. They don't take your plates for just random reasons. But, okay, your plates got taken. You could have went and figured that out with motor vehicles. Fine. Like, for you to get pulled over for something as trivial as not having plates in your car and you get your car towed, why would you argue with the cops and basically say, like you said, keep saying, inform cops you're ready to die, your kid's going to be taken care of with their pension plan, all this extra stuff like that, all that was unnecessary. You could have been mad all you want. People get pulled all the time. People get pissed off, but like, to length, are you going to have to kill me to get me out of my car? What are you talking about? Your kids are right there, so you would let them, and then on top of that pissed me off too. You were ready to die in front of your children. Do you know how traumatic that was going to be for them? So watch you, like, it's already traumatic for your 5-year-old to watch what's happening and then watch you get killed in the house while he's in there. But before you even get to the house, and that months before you're ready to get killed in front of him, and you're saying, well, he's going to be all right. Like, that's not something that a 5-year-old needs to be seeing.
I mean, and when she got pulled over originally, I mean, she had told her son, like, yo, if they try to touch you, take you out of the car, you fight them. I need you to record this. I'm giving you the phone. Like, it was crazy. The whole thing was crazy.
She was putting the child, and that's why that irks my soul. That irks my soul. Yeah, and that's what I hate when people do. I hate when people put their children in grown folks' situations. There's no reason, like whether it's an argument between the two adults and the child intervening. Like you know how our parents were, stay in the child's place. There's no reason that child should have been in that situation. Period. There's no reason any parent should have put their child in that type of situation. I don't care how you felt. You could have felt like, oh, I'm gonna make a statement. Make a statement by yourself. Tell your man to take your kids outside the house and make a statement and get shot and killed by yourself. Because if he said that little boy got shot, he could have been dead just like her.
I'm still trying to figure out the statement. What statement was she trying to make? Because at the end of the day, you feel me, they didn't pull you over for no reason, first of all. Secondly, you know, were you trying to put yourself in Sandra Bland's shoes? You know what I mean? Were you trying to, because the first thing she want to do is record everything. You know, it's like she want to be seen. She want everybody to see what's going on. But in all actuality, you are agitating the situation. You are instigating the situation, not the police officer. So, like, I don't understand if she was trying to make a point. It was, even if she didn't get shot, say none of that happened, and you look at the video and you just look at the video of her getting pulled over and then her just refusing to come out when they served the warrant. Say she eventually did come out, and in the video, she still would be in the wrong. Like, can't nobody defend that. You feel me? Can't nobody defend that. Like, so I don't understand what point she was trying to make.
People are defending her. They're thinking that she's this martyr for black people, and that she shouldn't have been killed because, like, and they basically saying it was police brutality. How? How is that? Explain to me, a black person, how that situation was police brutality. Tell me how they violated her rights. Tell me that.
Listen, they couldn't even.
How are you not upset that she put her children in harm's way twice?
Twice.
And then got one shot.
And then people trying to compare her to Alton Sterling or Philando.
No, Sandra Bland. They trying to link her and say that she's like Sandra Bland.
Yeah, but they compare her. I heard people comparing her to the recent ones of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling. You know, and I'm like, those situations were completely different, and the Sandra Bland as well. Situations was completely different. The officer wasn't aggressive. You know what I mean? The officer wasn't instigating the situation. You were. She was. Excuse me.
From the beginning, on both situations. I mean, from the first one when she got pulled over, because I watched that video, and the second one to when they came to her house. I mean, they said they was, like, when I first heard the story, I was like, yo, something sounds fishy about this. But then I started reading more into it. I mean, they said they went to go serve the warrant. They got there like 9 o'clock, 9:30ish. They was knocking on the door for 10 minutes. They heard people in the house. Nobody answered the door. They finally got the keys. They opened the door. It was still secured by the chain. And they could see her sitting on the ground with the kid in one hand and the shotgun, a sawed-off shot. Was it a sawed-off or a pistol? It was a pistol-grip sawed-off shotgun, I think they said.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy.
But
so
then
she was already ready for war.
I was telling Clint earlier, like, I saw on so many social media sites that people were upset. Oh, well, they didn't have a key. They kicked her door in. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jabril. Now, people serve a search warrant. Do they not knock first and then kick your door if you don't answer?
They will knock on your door they said. They said they was knocking for 10 minutes. They will knock on your door if they know you're in there. They will knock on your door. I've seen people serving search warrants for half an hour, 45 minutes knocking on the door, or they're not just going to go straight in and kick your door in. They ain't you're pushing major weight and killing people and everything. They went to go serve a warrant for some traffic stop and failure to appear at court. Not like she was a murderer, one in like 8 different states. Like, they'll sit there and knock on the door for as long as they have to until they feel it's not necessary. I mean, you're knocking on the door, you hear voices in there, you know they in there. You're only going to knock for so long before you go get a key. Nobody kicked the door because they said once they got the key, they tried to open the door and the chain was still on the door. You know you can't get through a door with the chain still on it. So I don't know who opened the door all the way because in one of the videos the door was wide open. Somebody eventually went and opened the door.
I think they end up kicked one of the officers. I was just reading. One of the officers end up, after they realized the chain lock was on, they kicked the door in. And when they kicked the door in, that's when they see her sitting there with the shotgun and her son. And she threatened them, and then they went back out and called
You know what
back.
I find crazy in this whole situation? Like I say, this thing started at 9 o'clock, and in the articles and everything are saying by like 3 o'clock after hours of negotiations. how do you have negotiations for that long with somebody sitting on the floor with a shotgun in one hand, a kid on the other, talking about they gonna kill you?
Because they knew her kid was in there. That's the like I said. You see on the officer on the very first video what he keeps saying to her kid in the car. Like, and I say this to say that not all cops are bad, because they're trying to get her to understand that the severity situation. You have a shotgun. We're coming to give you a warrant, and you have your kid in your arms. So I think that's why they didn't. Only why they didn't breach that house is because they knew it was a child in the house, and they saw the child in her lap. So rather than barricade the house and shoot up the house like it wasn't a kid just sitting there, they weren't going to do that. And that's what I said. They could have sat there and did that, because that's what people would have. If they had done that, then we could say police brutality. But they didn't do that. They sat there and did a whole standoff with this lady for hours, and then they went in and shot her.
Yeah,
but it's just bad that
they had to get another warrant as well, because once she pulled the gun on them and stuff, they had to call in for a whole nother warrant, and then that warrant didn't come to like 12:43. And then they still try to negotiate with her, and, we all know what happened next.
All right. Guys, hold on. We got a call. Caller, you're on the line with GST Radio. Where are you from?
Hi, I'm calling from Virginia, and I am Jabbar. How are y'all doing tonight?
Fine, yourself?
Doing good, good.
Hey, how you doing, boss?
All right, I'm doing all right. Hey, look, I'd like to focus on the quote-unquote traffic stop. Can we start there at least? And
yes.
I'd like to ask you all, what is the definition of traffic?
What did you say?
I said I would like to ask you all, what is the legal definition of traffic? Because she was stopped for a traffic stop, correct?
Yes.
Okay, can any of you tell me what the definition of traffic is? And the reason why I want to know is because there's a point I want to make about the authority that the police officers had in that stop.
Well, they pulled her. She was driving down the street she was driving in traffic, like she was driving in.
She didn't have any license plates on her car or no registration
on the street.
Okay.
And that's against the law.
I'm going to start here. You all said she was driving down the street, engaged in traffic with no license plate. First point I'd like to make is this. A driver is one who is employed in conducting or operating a vehicle, okay? So that means that she was not employed. She was not taking someone from point A to point B for a fee. She was in her private, non-passenger automobile, which is not a vehicle. A vehicle, the legal definition of a vehicle is a device that's used in the business of transportation. And transportation is the business of moving property and persons from one place to another. Okay, so I said all that to say this. The police officers were ill-trained, and I have to put the majority of the blame on the police captain, the chief of police, the county attorney, the governor, as well as the judges who support all that whole chain of people when they go out here and issue tickets to people who are not in traffic, they're not legally driving, and they do not have vehicles. They are in their private non-passenger automobiles. Now, it's a shame what happened to that young lady, because everything she said on that traffic stop was right and correct according to the law. Her mistake was thinking that the officer, by him being ill-trained, knew the law. Once he made it clear to her that he was not aware of what a delegation of authority is, she should have just basically complied with his request. Now that would have
so let me ask you this.
Sure, go ahead.
So do you feel as though she put her children in harm's way?
Of course she did, but it wasn't. Yes, she put herself in harm's way because she didn't realize that the officer who stopped her did not know the law. But then again, that the officer not knowing the law, that blame has to go to the officer's captain, his chief, the county attorney, and the judges who all allow that officer to go out on the road, stop people under false pretenses.
I agree with you on that point. I feel as though they're ill-trained. I agree with you on that.
But I think you didn't really quite answer his question correctly. He was asking, do you think that she put her children in harm's way?
Yeah,
Yes, but I think she did it, but she was standing up for what she knew was right and exact.
Now, I understand that part. She felt as though she was right. Correct. I get that. But at the point when you have your children in the car, do you not have an obligation to protect them?
Yes, you have an obligation to protect your children, but you also have an obligation, depending on you and your makeup, to teach your kids not to fear someone who is clearly operating outside of the law, who has taken an oath to support the law, not the state statute, not the code, not the ordinance, but the law of the land, which is the Constitution. She chose the latter.
I think it's safe to assume that your interpretation of the law is the same interpretation that she had. Now, my next question for you is: Are you like one of those people that believe you are or are a sovereign citizen, or do you like follow normal?
Well,
like normal code
there's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. By the mere fact that you believe that there is something as a sovereign citizen.
No, I didn't say I believe that at all. I'm just saying that's what she was saying.
No.
I'm not saying that I personally believe that. I'm just saying that that's what she was saying on the video. So that's why I asked you, where were you? Did you believe the same thing that she believed?
Which was what? Like I said, I didn't hear her refer to herself that she was a sovereign citizen. I've heard news reports make that claim, but I haven't heard her say that.
I didn't hear her say that at all.
I didn't hear her say it personally, but the cop said something about it when he pulled her over. Originally, he said something about the sovereign citizen. She didn't exactly say it, but the cop made a mention of it.
Exactly, and because he made that mention of it, tells me that he does not understand that people in their individual capacity cannot be sovereign. Only nations are sovereign. Only governments are sovereign. We have power of sovereignty, meaning we have the right to make our own decisions, choose what we want to choose, participate in what we want to participate in. In that sense, we have sovereign powers, but we are not sovereign citizens. That does not make sense. And the news media knows this, but the news media also knows that most people don't know that. So they can put that type of story out there, and people will believe it.
My issue, I mean, I know where you're coming from legally, brother. I really do. My issue is, at the end of the day, especially when they came to her house to serve her warrant and her boyfriend, I guess, warrant.
Mm-hmm.
When you have your children there, you know, cooler heads have to prevail. And I feel as though she put her children in harm's way to try to prove a point that didn't need to be proved that way. Because if she was that sharp with her knowledge of the law, then she could have clearly just took them to court and won. But instead, she chose to be aggressive, violently aggressive, with your children there. And at that point, you lose all credibility, but because it becomes a selfish act, in my opinion. You know, she's acting selfishly. She wasn't trying to, you know, educate or prove a point to where she was right to shut them down. You know, like she could have did something bigger by showing how intelligent she was by going to court. But instead, she took the wrong route and put her children in harm's way. Her son could have been murdered, and it cost her life. So at the end of the day, I feel as though, yeah, I always say the police are ill-trained or poorly trained. They need to be trained better. in my opinion. They're trained more to like the military now instead of protect and serve. But at the same time, she has to take responsibility for her own actions. And her actions, in my opinion, caused her death, not the officer.
And I agree with you 1,000% in what you just said. I can't disagree with you any way, form, or fashion. But I would say this, that more of the responsibility should go towards the individuals who are responsible for training those officers. Because there's something called cause and effect. If you don't do something on one end, believe me, it's going to show up on the other end. It's some way. And by the officers not being trained, and I mean we're starting to see more and more of it today. By those police officers not being trained in the law, it's creating the conditions that's forcing certain individuals to do things such as the sister did, just out of mere frustration. Because if you go to court,
I'm going to say this.
Court,
I think in that situation, as far as the pullover incident on March 10th, I think that those cops, even if we feel that they were ill trained, I think they handled that better than most cops that we've seen recently handle situations like that. So I'm going to give them credit on that situation alone, that they handled it a lot better than a lot of these other cops would have done, because a lot of other cops that we've seen in recent shoot first and ask no questions, and then they claim that, I was threatened. So I commend them for not getting more aggressive and going to a whole nother level that they could have done, had we seen in past situations. But I also like to thank you for calling and sharing your opinions. We do have another caller on the line. We want to let them get their voice heard too. But thank you very much for calling into the show tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Called you on the air with GST Radio. What's your name and where are you from?
Kenya Sanchez, Bowie, Maryland.
Hey, Red.
What up?
Hi.
What up?
Hello.
What's up, Double D?
How are you guys? Good show. Good show.
Thank you. Glad you called in. I'm so happy we ain't heard from you in a while, so that's good. We get to hear your voice. What's up? What's
It's been crazy busy. That's all. I do miss you guys, and I'm like, I got to try to get back in there and call in and show some support. So I'm here.
So what do you think about tonight's topic?
Man, I don't even know where to start with that. I think the most important thing, the gentleman that was on the call before, I know he spoke about what the definitions were for, I think it was traffic and transportation, and I can't remember what the other thing was, and I had hoped that he had stayed on the line because I wanted to ask him a question or really just to really make a statement about that. When we're discussing what the definition of traffic is, I'm not sure where his definition came from, and I'm in no way debating it. But the one that I can pull up here is to do with pedestrians and vehicles moving on the roads by virtue of regulation of such by a series of road traffic acts. I hear people have a lot of opinions, and that's okay. First and foremost, we have to remember one thing. This happened in the state of Maryland. So when a lot of people are making their opinions and they're talking about what should happen, what shouldn't be happening, it's one thing to understand. The law in one state may not be the law in another state. So as long as she's breaking, or anybody breaking the law in that state, that's where your concern is when you're worried about if it was lawful or not. Not if it's lawful or unlawful in your state. And I say that because I've seen a lot of people in different states say, no, because down here you can't do this and you can't do that. So they were wrong and da-da-da-da. And see many people saying, wait a minute, but is that illegal in the state of Maryland? Because that's the only place where it matters. You know, when you guys mentioned the sovereign citizen situation that she was going through, when you think about what she did she mention the words? Absolutely not. Did the police officer? Yes, he did. However, when you think about what she did, and putting those license plates on her cars the way that she did, those are the acts of a sovereign citizen. Whether she can do it or not, whether she said it or not, that's what they do. That's why the officer said what he said. That's what that is. However, when you're operating a motor vehicle in the state of Maryland, it must be registered, it must be insured, and when you have it registered, you have license plates. I mean, let's be clear here. I understand that people are upset with police officers because of the recent events. But like you said, Teresa, all police officers are bad. And guess what? All citizens ain't good. Now, I'm not saying she was bad, but I just want to make that point because it seems like because there's so much going on with police officers, they're very quick to say, oh, my gosh, they done killed another one of us. But we've seen some people or any other race on video where people were up in arms about police killing them, and then you see them do something that they have no business, that would all of a sudden, it would make it justifiable. Oh, shoot, if it was me, I would have did it. You know, that kind of thing. We've also seen some other races that weren't held accountable. So I get why people are upset. But I'll say this. Clint, you have hit the nail on the head tonight with my biggest concern, and that is her son. If nothing else, the obvious victim here, and I only say obvious because things are still developing on the mother, the obvious victim is him. I couldn't understand why she reacted the way that she did. Period, point blank, she was operating a vehicle illegally in the state of Maryland. It was illegal. You can't ride around like that. I mean, a police officer will pull you over if you had a note in the window and say, hey, what happened? You might not get a ticket, but they're at least going to ask you because there's no tag right there. And they can't. I didn't understand how it went from she was very well spoken, she seemed very calm, and then the switch went off. I didn't understand that. Or trying to breastfeed your child, you know, while they're telling you to get out of your vehicle to be arrested. Now, they can't tow your car with you in it, so you got to get out.
Yeah.
But you're not operating it legally, so it can't be on the road. No one's blaming you for it being off. But the point is, there's no plates on this car. So you can't travel in this jurisdiction like that. Period, point blank. When it came to the day of the shooting, the worst part was seeing her talk to her son like she was. She talked to him well like he was older than her.
Yeah.
It seemed as if she was almost coaching him, you know. And this is just my opinion. I'm not blaming her for what happened to her. I think her decision was contributory to what happened to her son, though. That was wrong. Even when they mentioned the fiance or the boyfriend that was there, here's what most people haven't seen today. The 5-year-old boy, his aunt interviewed him. Those videos are all over social media. That little boy said out of his mouth, he said, did Korryn try to get you? Yeah. Well, why didn't you go? I want to stay with my mom. He made it very clear that man did attempt to take him out of there. Why wasn't it a red flag to anybody that this man said, now, wait a minute, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here? When her own mother, who was on the scene, said that she could hear him saying to her, come on, just give it up. It's not worth it. And she refused. Did they unlock the door? Yes, they did. When they unlocked the door, allegedly, and the chain was on the door, they saw her sitting there with a gun. I'm sorry. But if my girl is in there acting like that, or my dude is in there acting like that, and I got a kid in my head, and the other one doesn't want to come, and that's not even my child. So there's only so much I can do. I want to help you, but help me help you. You know what I mean? If he doesn't want to go, and he seems very close to his mother, there's nothing that I can do. But my child is in my hands, so I can control her. Even if that wasn't his child, I do believe that if he could have got one, and that was not a blood relative of his, and that little girl would go with him, I still think he would have took the one if the other one wouldn't come with him, who's with the mother and has a gun in her hand. I mean, her mind was made up. Period, point blank. If she was going to do what she was going to do, she was doing it. I mean, we saw her from the traffic stop in March. She's a very, very strong personality. And she's going to do what she has. I mean, her family has even said that she's had mental issues for a long time. I don't know where that stems from, but mental health is very, very real, and people should take it serious. But I think you guys are doing a good job with the show tonight, and it's something that needs to be discussed, and I think you guys are answering a lot of questions that people are wondering. And some will just have to wait until more, details come out.
Yeah. I think the problem that we're starting to have is people are rushing to judgment. They're not waiting for the facts, and it's just become a hate fest.
Mm-hmm.
F the other side. That's basically what it's become. So whatever they do, we're gonna have a problem with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, but the issue with that is now you strip yourself or take a responsibility of any of your actions. Now, you're just as bad, and if not, worse is them. Worse than them.
Right.
So you're becoming what you hate.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day. So that's the bigger issue. That's another issue that this situation has highlighted. You know what I mean? Because I hear a lot.
Yeah.
I was going back and forth. Like, are y'all serious? Like, well, she's a soldier. She's standing up.
She went out to like a G and everything. I'm like, but that was
what y'all
stupid.
talking about? What
turned
y'all
into a martyr.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, like no.
I think the only reason that James wanted to stay because they know her family told the police when her mom was there. She said that the people who deal with her, I'm guessing maybe she gets some kind of counseling on a regular basis or something. I don't know. But her mom said something about, I don't think that they wanted to hurt her, but I do think maybe if they let me talk to her, I could have maybe gotten her son out. Maybe I could have calmed her. With the people that Korryn knew that she would talk to on a regular basis, due to her mental health issues, they were there or could be called there, one of the two, don't quote me, but either they were there or they could be called there, and they could help, and she felt like they didn't exhaust all possibilities. The only thing I've had a problem with this whole thing is when the first shot was fired, I'm wondering why other measures weren't taken, like tear gas or I don't know, because there was a sound in there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd be lying to you if I would say to you, if someone shot at me, I wouldn't shoot back. And that may have been her way to protect her and her son, even though there was no way she was going to make it out of that because it's just her. And there's probably 50 police officers outside that door. I didn't understand the need for the first shot. I didn't get that. I get that they were there for 6 hours and they were trying to negotiate. I get all that. But this is what you're trained to do. So you guys could be, if some people in Oregon can be there for several days and y'all negotiating, you could have gave her 6 hours and 5 more minutes or 7 hours. And that part there, I didn't agree with. I don't like the way she handled the situation leading up to that shooting. But I can also look at it from a different side as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. They could use like the what do they have, like the dummy bullets where they like hit them so hard the impact they kind of like knock them out or something like that. They could use those. Yeah, they could use those. And I get it. It's like I'm not saying that she should have been killed. I'm just saying her actions and how she was the entire time during the whole standoff and the traffic stop to begin it. It's like you didn't care about your life from the beginning. You didn't care about your kid's life, like nothing. And that part, as a parent, bothers me. Like I don't like Clint said, I don't respect that.
I don't want to say she didn't care about her kids, but she wasn't acting responsibly with her kids.
And I think if you have mental issues, you got to consider that too. Yeah, I don't think that they didn't care either, but I think if there's knowledge that she does have mental issues, you have to handle it from that standpoint. And I do think, having served in the military, having worked in the court system for a number of years, I've seen for a long time that the proper care is not given to individuals who have mental issues. they're treated like everybody else, and that can't happen. So I would agree with her. I wouldn't say she didn't care, but she definitely seemed out of her element. I don't want to say crazy. Like something was off.
I want to make 2 points on what
danger.
Kenya just said, or on what everybody just said. Actually, one of the main things was that she just said about treating people with mental issues. They treat them all the same. And we saw a couple weeks ago. We had talked about it a couple weeks ago in the show about the guy and the counselor who got shot trying to help the mentally unstable guy that was sitting in the middle of the street. That they said he had a gun. I mean, these cops out here like she said, it doesn't matter who you are, they treat them all on the same level. And for them to know that she was mentally unstable or had some kind of issues and they didn't treat her differently is one of the points I want to bring up. And another one, I know you guys are saying like alternative methods of trying to take her down or, trying to de-escalate the situation, rubber bullets and tear gas. But you got to remember, like, things like that may have an adverse reaction. These people, it might agitate the situation more than it actually already is. I mean, they could have shot some tear gas in there. She could have went even crazier and just started shooting up anything and everything in that area. So, I mean, not saying that they were right for shooting her and killing her, but, I mean, these alternative methods, I mean, stun guns and rubber bullets and things like that aren't always the right solution because they can agitate the situation more than it already is.
True. That's true. I mean, but like I said, I think if her son wasn't in there, I wouldn't even consider that. I'm thinking of alternative methods because there's a child in there. But I see exactly what you're saying as well, Jabril. Absolutely. I mean, when you think of those things because these are professionals, you think that they would figure something out. If you have knowledge that she has a mental health issue, then handle her from that standpoint. I think when one of you guys mentioned the sovereign citizen issue earlier, I think most people that don't understand what that is first of all, when people are, let's use the word, practicing becoming a sovereign citizen, they're the most common thing that they do is take their license away from them. They literally believe that they are not binded by any law in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And so, because from when I read up on it, because I knew of it, I didn't know much about it because I don't know anybody who's ever practiced. So I didn't ever have the need to know any more than that. The most common thing that they do is traffic relief. And maybe that was why the officer brought it up. I know the gentleman before when he was mentioning about them not being properly trained, a lot of them are not. Some of them are. A lot of people don't even know what sovereign citizen is, but he knew what that was.
I think we have that same caller on. Hold on one second. I think we have that caller on the line again.
Okay, good.
Hold on. Caller, you on the line with GFT Radio. What's your name and where you from?
All right. Hey, this is Jabbar again. How are y'all doing?
Hi.
Figured it would be.
I just was listening to the playback, and I heard that the young lady had a question for me.
Yeah.
About a definition of something.
Yeah, well, it was more of a statement. I did say question before, but then I switched it to statement when you were discussing the definition of traffic, the one that you gave, and then I found a different one for that. And I think the most important thing to remember for most people, and what I said after that is about was she breaking the law, regardless of a definition, was the definition of the law for the state of Maryland. Was she breaking that law? And I think even though we are defining different things, that's first and foremost what we have to consider. Where she is, and is she breaking the law in that jurisdiction?
Well, okay, here's the thing. A state cannot pass a law. They can pass a rule or regulation, and they can call it a state law. But the definition of traffic is the same in every state because those definitions are laid down by the Congress. And the Congress gets their of those words from the Black's Law Dictionary or the Bouvier's Dictionary. Traffic means commerce here in Virginia. it means commerce in in Maryland. It means commerce in New Hampshire. So wherever you are, traffic means commerce, and commerce means trade or transportation. So when you hear on the news, they give you a traffic report. They're not being honest in the language that they're using. They're using connotative meanings, meaning that here, you think of private automobiles being out on the road as traffic. That's not traffic. Traffic is trade or commerce. And that is the one thing that Congress has the complete authority to regulate. And they pass out authority to regulate traffic to the different states. So if you go to a regular Webster's dictionary, it's not a legal dictionary. So you may find a different definition of what traffic is. But when you go to the law dictionary, as well as to the United States Code, traffic is defined as commerce or trade or transportation. So,
I think if you're going to go with that route, you have to go by the actual law definition, because we have our definition that we could say something like a slang word and say it means this, but in all actuality, people out of a dictionary, it means completely other different things. So if you're going to go by that, then I would suggest going by the term the law defines it at, like the legal definition of traffic, not what a dictionary says,
So I do agree with you, but remember,
to be honest with you,
traffic, it's in the legal dictionary, and you're being charged with a violation, which is a legal violation. So you go to the legal definition of traffic, not the connotative. And if you go to the legal definition of traffic, it tells you that traffic is commerce. You're conducting some type of trade or business.
Right. So we all actually cited for traffic in the state of Maryland, they use the connotative law. See, I hear what you're saying, but what I'm saying is when they're considering this, they're not using a Black's Law dictionary. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. But what I'm saying is when they determine if or not you've broken the law in the state, they are using the connotative law. That's what they're using. That's what they're basing it off of. And I can't debate, or I won't debate whether it's right or wrong, but it is what it is. There are a lot of things that we think are not, that are right or wrong when it comes to the law. I won't disagree with you there either. But they're there, and that doesn't mean that you don't have to follow them.
No, I'm not saying that you don't have to follow them, because we all know that they're operating under what's called color of law, which means they can take a legal definition of something and apply a different meaning to it, just for the purposes of incriminating you.
That's possible.
That's why I think if she would have went that route with the law route, I think people would have heard her more, and she would have made more of a powerful statement. I think that's the route. I think that's the route more people need to take. See, like how you just came on here and educated us about traffic. Now, if more people knew that and more people could use that, then that's a fight. That's the way you fight.
Right.
But to go out there and try to meet force with force, the way she did, that's where it's flawed, and that's where I have an issue with her. I hate that she lost her life. I hate that she lost her life the way she did, all because, at the end of the day, it was pride. It was personal pride.
Amen.
And that's what hurts me, and that's what I hope don't nobody else go that route.
Yeah. I agree. That was just all emotion. And what to piggyback off of Clinton, we're going to reach more people when we're actually teaching them and we're making sure they get it. We can't come out here and just be ready to go to war in the sense of I'm going to physically fight. There are other ways to get that across, and we have to start with we have to go that route. They're expecting us to come out and act like animals and everything else. They're expecting that. Just like they'll say, you know what? They'll be mad about Korryn Gaines for the next week or so, but I'll tell you one thing, when it comes to black people, next week they ain't going to be thinking about that girl.
Yeah.
And this is why it's important to keep teaching everybody else.
To stand up and fight. It is a time and place to stand up and fight. But the real fight without weapons, without violence, that education. that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You beat them on that playing field.
Yeah.
You feel me? Then you can make some moves. But if you try to meet force with force at all turns, like nah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just
and another thing we got to remember too is the more people who understand the words that they're using to incriminate us, the more of a problem the corrupt officials are going to have in the future. And people are starting to actually look at the law. But again, a lot of people, they don't even go to their state statutes or to their codes and ordinances or to the very law itself to see if what they're being charged with even applies to them. Once enough people realize that over all these years, all these tickets and people's private non-passenger automobiles have been towed, taking money out of their pocket that they could use to feed their family. Again, it's going to be a lot of trouble for these sheriffs, chiefs, attorneys, the judges, and it's coming to that point. But it can't be done violently, like you said, brother. Mm-hmm. It's going to have to be done with knowledge, and then we're going to start prosecuting them for their corruption.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I remember one time here in Maryland when I was living in Baltimore County, being pulled over by a police officer, and I won't go into all the details, but I'll say this: until he knew where I worked, his attitude was very nasty. It was aggressive. There was no reason for him to have pulled me over, and until I said who, not even so much who I was, but where I worked, his whole thing changed. He had called for backup and everything, and it was just me. I'm sorry, no, I actually had my roommate in the car at the time. He wanted to see my ID, which is fine. He wanted to see her ID, vehicle, everything he had no right to do. And when I said no, he literally, we're going to just arrest you and tow the car. Right. But once I mentioned who I work for, everything changed. The other two officers got in their cars and actually pulled off. He was standing there by himself at that point. The sad part about it is when they know, like you said, when they know you know the law, and depending on who you know, it should never even have to go that far, but that's exactly. Because if I didn't know who I knew, or I didn't work where I worked, it could have went totally different.
Yep.
Totally different. For no reason. Never got a ticket. And then after that, he ended up on death duty, and probably about 2 months later, he was fired. Because he had actually been written up several other times for excessive force when he actually put his hands on people. I didn't know who he was, right? So you don't know who's pulling you over. I don't think people are wrong when they're a little, uneasy, especially nowadays, when a cop pulls them over. But, let's calm down a minute. If it doesn't go that route, it may not go that route. Everybody's not a bad cop.
Yep. Yeah. But I will say this. A cop that does not know the law that he is enforcing is a bad cop. Now, I don't mean bad as in
I would agree.
Come out, shoot you, handcuff you. But I mean he's not a good cop in the sense that he knows the laws that he's enforcing. He's going strictly by what he's been told is the law. Mm-hmm. He hasn't studied the law. Yep. And if there's a few words that I would highly suggest everybody look up in the law dictionary and understand, it's the word traffic. It's the difference between a vehicle, a motor vehicle, and a private non-passenger automobile is. And it's the definition of what a person is. Because we are not persons. We are people. So if you get your head around those definitions of those words legally, then more likely you're going to save yourself a lot of trouble. Because once you demonstrate you know what they are, then you're going to get more respect from the police officers. But then you got to go to the court, and then you got to hope for an honorable judge.
Right. Okay. I agree. But you also have to be driving a valid vehicle.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm just saying, you still have to be doing something. You can't be on the illegal side of things in any way. and then go
correct.
in there and start talking about the law. I think that's important to mention, too. If you're already doing something you shouldn't be doing, you got to be very careful about that. I don't think she didn't know the law. I think a lot of stuff was mixed up, and it just went left.
Mhm.
But I agree with you.
As long as you aren't harming someone, causing an injury, being a nuisance, or there's no victim, you're not committing a crime.
You're not committing a crime?
Crime, yeah. A crime requires there to be a victim.
That's exactly what she said in her video. She got pulled over.
She's not committing a violent crime. She was creating a traffic crime in that jurisdiction because that's what they have on the book.
Well, again, traffic is commerce. Was she engaged in commerce?
I hear what you're saying. I hear exactly what you're saying. But remember earlier when we were talking about the difference between the legal definition, and here's where the law gets really tricky, and it often gets to be too much and connotation. They use connotation. And I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do because it actually almost sounds like an oxymoron with some of these laws and how they have them set up, that whether it's a code, whether it's a regulation, whether it's a law, some of it seems to contradict something else. So I won't disagree with you on that. But you still have to know how they are defining that particular segment of what they're alleging that that crime or whatever you want to call it that you committed. You have to know how they're considering that. And that's what you need to know to be able to say you're wrong. Because that's what they're going to back it up when you go to court. That's just how it is.
But again, remember, their codes is just what it says. It's their codes. That code represents the law. And you go to the law, which is the congressional act, which gives them the authority to do what they do out on the road. And Congress defined what a vehicle is and what transportation and traffic is. So
but how many people make it up to Congress when they get pulled over in a car?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Who makes it up to Congress when they get pulled over in a car? I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. What I'm saying is when you take these things to court, like you were saying before, when you're having knowledge about the law and you want to go in there and fight that, and that's how you get these things pushed through and you get victory in a sense for this, they also have to know how they are interpreting that because that's all they're going to use against you when you go to court. So right or wrong, you still got to know how they're going to come back at you to be able to fight that. Is what I'm saying.
Right,
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, that's the only part that I'm adding to, if you will, what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you on that. We're good.
All right, we want to thank you guys for calling in. We're gonna get back to the topic, and like I said, thank you guys for calling in. Brian, we definitely want you to
I said absolutely.
Definitely want you to keep listening in. And thank you again, caller, for calling in.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate
it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we in our after show now.
That rolled right into it, man. But that was a deep, good conversation, though. Like that's what we need.
Yeah. And to, like I said, I'm glad he called in. I'm glad he called in with the legal side of it because that gives let people know, like, you have other options, man. Like, you don't have to be out here, trying to go to war with the police in a physical sense. You know what I mean? You could beat them with your intelligence. You feel me? You could, if you feel as though you're in the right. My mom used to, every time my mom got pulled over and she knew she was in the right, you feel me, she would go to court. She's like, I'm fighting this. I'm not just about to pay this. I'm fighting it. And that's
how most people go to traffic court, and what happens? They get dismissed.
Yeah, or they get reduced. And 9 times out of 10, you did something wrong in the first place. You know what I mean? If you get all those tickets, sometimes, you feel me? But, take it to court. If you feel as though you was in the right, take it to court. Don't put your family in harm's way.
Or yourself in harm's way.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So where a simple traffic stop escalate to somebody losing their life.
Yeah.
You know,
it ain't worth it.
It ain't worth it, man. It ain't worth it. You feel me? It's too much life to live. It's too, you know what I mean? Enjoy your kids' life. Watch them grow. You know, like I said, they said they had, you know, we mentioned she may have had some mental illness. I don't know how sure or what kind of mental illness she may have or may have not had. But, you know, she didn't, in that case, she needed some help.
Exactly.
You feel me? She needed some help. And the signs were already obviously there. She was already wound up. We seen that back in March with the video she posted. She was already wound up. You know, she was a ticking time bomb. That's what I see. You know, other people don't agree with me when I be arguing going back and forth with people the last couple of days. But what I see when I see her was a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, and I like to give out the number again in case you want to call in and either chime in on your thoughts of this whole situation and this tragic incident that could have potentially been avoided. You can definitely call in. Our number is 657-383-1155. Go ahead, guys. I just had to get that out.
Nah, that's perfect. You know what I mean? Want some more people calling, get some more opinions.
Exactly.
That'll definitely see what's up.
Hold on, I think Kenya's still online. Kenya, are you still there? No?
No, I think she hung up.
Okay. I still had her showed up on the line. Hello?
No, she didn't. She's still here listening in.
Okay.
Phone's on mute.
We didn't want to hang up on you.
Speak up.
We didn't want to hang up on you. We wanted to keep you on the line because we have not had you on the show, and we want to.
No, that's what I thought you meant.
After.
That's why I just put the phone on mute so y'all can keep.
Yeah, okay. She knew
oh,
my
did she mean hang up, or did she mean hold up? I was having a conversation with myself.
Yeah, but right now this is the after show, guys. We can still continue the topics we had at the beginning of the show. But Kenya, what have you been up to? What's been going on in your life?
Man, business as usual. You know, I'm finishing school next week. Thank goodness that'll be out of the way. That was one of the reasons I stepped away from the show. I just put way too much on my plate, and I had to prioritize some things. So that'll be finished. And I'm going to be preparing actually for my move back up north. Not sure where at yet, but, you know, to be able to get some more things done up there for the city. And got some things planned. Got some things in the works. One of the first things that we're going to be doing that I'll actually be teaming up with my cousin on, Terrell Smith, is starting the wealth classes for a lot of the residents in there, just educating them on credit and what it means to own property and how to do that in investment. I think that's a huge problem in our community where people they don't even understand what that is. So we definitely need to get some wealth literacy classes going on and just offer it. You know, hopefully people will show up and they'll get it and they'll understand it. I think if more people invested in the community, you have less people tearing it down. You know, when you're spending money on something, you take pride in that. You know, you may get more people to speak up about crime. If you're in front of my store where I feed my family and this is my livelihood, I might actually start calling the cops. You out here doing something you shouldn't be doing. But I think right now, you know, it's to me it's like the difference between a homeowner and a renter. You know, homeowners they care more about their investment, whereas a renter is like, well, this ain't mine. You know, I'm gonna just do the bare minimum, and it is what it is. And there's a lot of renters that you need to have more homeowners in there. You know, they'll get, you know, they'll be proud of that. But right now, the crime is just out of control. So we got to get some money, you know, how to make some money and how to make that money grow, so that they don't have other options. You know, and that some of these city officials will put more jobs out there where some of these kids off the corner. I mean, that.
All right, guys. Hold on, guys. We have another caller. Hold on. I want to see what they're going to chime in about. Hold on. Sorry to cut you off, Kenya. Hold on.
No. Mm-hmm.
Caller, what's your name and where you from?
This is Alex from Trenton. How you guys doing tonight?
Yeah,
Alex
from Trenton.
What's good, bro?
What's up? How y'all doing? What's good? What's good? Yeah, I just want to call, give my opinion on the topic, the Korryn Gaines situation. Like Clint was saying earlier, as far as his evaluation, I kind of hold the same opinion where it kind of looked like she definitely needed some, like she was kind of mentally challenged. Like she needed help. Like she had something going on. But my point that I really wanted to make is like, you know, we all know the situation that's going on with the police. So a situation like with her is like, you can't really say the cops was in the wrong because you never know how far she could have took it. So, you know, it seemed like they kind of went through the certain procedures before it escalated to that point. But my thing is like us specifically as I ain't even gonna say black community because it's Hispanics, whatever. We like in the urban community, it's like us that's taking a stance against the police. If we jump on every situation, we try to make a rah, the cops is wrong. To me, it takes away from the bigger picture because the people that hold the opposite opinion from us, they're going to look at it like, you see, you guys, you jump on everything. You're making a big deal about everything. So I think it kind of takes away from the bigger picture. So that it's like we can't feel like they have an agenda for everything. Like we gotta be smart about how we go about things, how we put our opinion out in the public because it takes away from the bigger picture. So that's basically what I wanted to put on the topic.
That's it, and I wholeheartedly agree with that because, like you said, I've seen so many statuses, so many tweets, so many everything about how the cops were wrong. In this situation, I don't think they were wrong. I think, and I agree with what Red said. I think at the point when gunshots flew off in the household, when it was a minor household, I think they could use a different tactic. But the whole entire situation, taken up from the beginning to the end, they tried. They tried to work with her.
I definitely feel like they tried. I mean, yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And, I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't follow everything by the textbook, but I just feel like we all have had our issue with the cops, you know what I mean, over the years. Like especially if you're a black male, by the time you're 30, you've probably been pulled over a minimum 10 times. Sometimes it might have been you might have did something as small as not using your turn signal. There's been times where you know you ain't do nothing. They just pulled you over just to pull you over. But we know our issues that we have with the cops, especially in the urban community. But like I said, we know how a lot of these cops are out here is foul. So like, let's focus on the ones that's really, really out here foul. Let's go after them, like the ones that's really, really need to be put that fire behind their butts. Now I mean, like, let's really focus on that because, like I said, when we try to jump on everything and make it seem like, because honestly, it's a lot of and we, like I say, in the same breath, there's cops that's pulled us over for no reason. It's been times all of us we've been pulled over and we did something. The cop was like, "Man, go on about your business." So now I mean,
exactly.
So we know for fact, and we always say that's one thing I can say us that's have the issue with the cops. The ones that's sensible, we always say, of course, not all cops is bad, but you know they want to paint that picture that we're saying all cops is bad. And when we jump on anything and we be like, we try to make a hoopla over every situation, that's what they're going to use against us. They going to try to paint that picture that we're saying all cops is bad. Because, you know, no matter what you say, all it takes is for one thing for them to point out, and they going to hang on to that one bad thing. So it's like we just got to be smart about it. We got to be smart about it. We got to go about it strategic. If we going to win, you're not going to win trying to go in there, all cops this, because then you're defeating the purpose. You're taking away from the message. So that's all. You guys, you have a good night. I'm enjoying the show. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it. And I want to add on to what he was saying too, because basically what he's saying is intelligence rules, and we should already have learned from our mistakes or learned from the past. You feel me? Like we always say, there's nothing new under the sun. This has always been going on. It's just that now it's being recorded more, and we see it on TV or on YouTube and on these social networks all the time. But at some point, I mean, we had a show before. I was talking about we have to grow up. We have to, you know, since we already know the score. You feel me? Like, we the most informed people ever on this earth. So we already know what's going on. So now, since we already know what's going on, we got to be smart about it instead of resorting to the same old tactics. Because obviously, them same old tactics not going to work, and we can't just keep pointing the finger, like he said, blaming them for every single thing that happened. You feel me? We got to start taking responsibility for our own actions and for our own intelligence, and start using that knowledge and understanding that we already have for these situations, because we understand these situations more than any other group of people, because we've been going through it since the beginning. So since we understand it, since we already had that understanding and knowledge, we should be far advanced on how to deal with it. But for some reason, it seems like we're lacking in how to deal with it, and we want to restore it to the same exact nonsense that we have been doing over and over and over again that has not worked. You know, at some point, we all have to learn from our mistakes as a community. So, you know, the best way to do that is with knowledge. You know what I mean? We have to fight them with knowledge. We can't keep doing the same thing. We have to improve. It's time for us to grow up. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, like we were saying earlier, she was on point with what she was talking about. You feel me? And if she would have stuck that lane and stayed in that lane, you feel me, she would have had a small victory. You know what I mean? It's like we don't want those small victories. We want everything to be huge and for show. We want a show.
Yeah.
You know, and that was my issue with the situation. She turned it into a show instead of, you know, that's why I was asking the question earlier. What was her statement? What point was she trying to prove? That's why I was asking these questions, because if you don't have no point and you're not really standing for nothing, you're just putting on a show. You know what I mean? And that show you put on end up being deadly. It ended up being costly.
Like, why are people? I understand you want to record the cops, but why go live with these type of situations? I get you want to have it on record.
But see, I think when I looked at that, when the cop mentioned, like you said, she didn't mention sovereign citizen. However, her actions showed all of that. And I think when you have people don't understand the mindset of a sovereign citizen because they don't feel like they're bound by any law, you know, for where they are in that jurisdiction. I think what she was trying to prove was that, not to say the word sovereign citizen, but because she felt like this is what she was and she knew what it was, she was trying to show people another way of dealing with the cops, but then it went left. Here's because I think if I think that I'm a sovereign citizen and I know that I'm not bound by any law, whether it's a traffic law, whether it's a state law or whatever, you know, they don't think they're bound by anything in the United States at all, then they're going to react that way. So they're going to act in that way, and that means, well, let me show you, because that's what when she kept saying, you know, I will not be complying with that. I do not participate in your laws or whatever you guys want to call them, because in her mind, she was a sovereign citizen. Because only a sovereign citizen would make those statements. Period.
Facts.
You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Teach people on what you think that is. If you think, and I'm not saying she was right for that, if you honestly believe that was a way to handle the police, then you could have been teaching people a whole other way. Now, I don't know how far you were going to get with that, probably not far at all, but at least the intent behind it was to educate your people. Now, what would be better for her is if she was educating them and it made sense, because you can't do that. You know what I mean? You can't do that by yourself. You know, all of a sudden you just declare, I'm a sovereign citizen, you can be a sovereign citizen, you can be it doesn't work that way. You can't do that. Not, let me show you what I'm going to do and I'm just going to pop off and do whatever. Like, that doesn't work. Just like criminals know the law. You ever watch any of those gangster shows or First 48 or whatever? Some of these people are so well versed in the law that you can hear people say, well, you know, 15 to get you 20. You know what I mean? Or you know, when it comes to the gun law, though, they can't get you on that. You know what I mean? What they can do is da-da-da-da. And they will run the law down. There's a lot of criminals who know the law that pertains to the law that they know they're breaking. So they find ways around it. People have to think like that. I'm not saying go study every traffic law or code or regulation. I'm not saying go study. Just know the law as it pertains to you. Period.
What did your girl say? About the self-proclaimed lawyers that.
Oh yeah, the hood lawyers that want to go out there and they get pulled over and they want to be hood lawyers, like you and they don't know what they're talking about. Like Ken, you're saying, like if you can't be a rebel without a cause. You have to have a cause. You want to be a rebel, you have to know what you're doing and what you're talking about. You can't just be out there just spitting stuff that you've seen on people recording things and traffic stops and saying what they see other people saying. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to know your laws and know what rules or laws you're actually breaking or not breaking in order to have some type of cause or justice behind your situation, whatever you're trying to do or say. You can't be a hood lawyer out here.
What they say about the devil, he knew the Bible like the back of his hand, but he still was who he was.
Yeah.
It's like you like you said, you can know something so well and still be missing a valid point, like Clint said over and over again tonight. Her point was not proven. She didn't prove any point. All she proved between March up until now that she was ready to go. Yeah. And she was gonna go with how she was ready to go, guns a-blazing, and that's exactly how she went out. That's the only point that she proved that she was ready to go. That I'm hoping she had life insurance.
No, it was legal. It was legally purchased and everything. Everything was legal with that gun.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that. That's all I'm hoping that she decided as of March 10th that she was ready to go. I hope she had life insurance for her kids and a good enough amount of money.
Oh no, they got a GoFundMe page. That wasn't it. It's a GoFundMe page right now. Nah. And that's the other thing that pissed me off. When you out here doing stuff like that, there's so many people who won't even so much as have life insurance. But if you're going to put your life on the line and you have dependents and you're okay with other people, it's okay. You can kill me today because I got family that's going to take care of. Wait. Everybody calm down. How do you know somebody can take care of these two children? Simply because it's your family? So you don't leave anything behind for them, for somebody to take care of them?
Yeah.
I don't get that. If you're prepared for you to die, okay, it's not like she was saying, oh, when I go, me and my kids going with me, I'm prepared to take all of us out. You were okay with somebody else taking care of them and leaving them behind, but what were you leaving them with? The memory that was their mother? They were no longer going to have a mom? Well, how are they going to be able to care for these children? That you chose to leave here. But, yeah, they made a GoFundMe page for her. I don't understand that any more than I understand somebody who's in the streets every day and don't have that.
It probably can't pay for her funeral. It can't do nothing. And it's sad because at the end of the day, her son watched her die.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand what he's going to be like mentally, dealing with the fact that he watched his mother?
He didn't look like the video that I saw earlier, he looked like a regular 5-year-old. Like, I'm wondering if he can comprehend that he won't see his mom.
Yeah,
like, he knows she was shot, but it didn't look like he comprehended that he won't see her no more. He was literally a regular 5-year-old.
Yeah, I don't think it hit him yet.
5-year-old. Yeah.
He probably still traumatized too.
And that's exactly the point. Like he had to do that for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Like
he kept saying
it's probably still processing. You feel me? He's probably still processing. And once it finally hit, it might not hit him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might hit him immediately as soon as he leave the hospital. But you know, it's a shame, man. It's a shame it had to come to that.
Yeah, it's very sad.
See that, you know. Yeah.
She should, like I said, if you were ready to go at that point, you should let your kids be out of harm's way. You should let your boyfriend take your son, whether your son wants to stay with you or not. You should have been like, you know what, take him with you because I don't think I'm going to survive this. Like she should have been the mature one to say, it's like on all accounts, he was trying to get the child. She should have said, take my baby with you. Yeah. As a mother and as a parent, she should have done that. And that's why I said that's like it's sad to see that another black person or mother is gone, or another person period is gone, but it didn't have to go that way. It shouldn't have went that far. It could have easily been avoided. She could have took that case to court and fought it and won if she had the right knowledge that she seemed to have. But like you said, prove your point the legal way. You don't have to be aggressive to get your point across. You don't have to be agitative. You don't agitate a person to aggravate a situation. You could have done that completely different and made your point, but you chose to just go completely left, and this is the result. Now people are saying, "Oh, she lost her life. They killed her," like as if I don't think that was their intent. Their intent was to serve a search warrant and arrest her.
No,
if
not
they want
the
to kill her
warrant,
and
arrest
her on March 10th.
Yeah, that's another thing that people keep mixing up too. Yeah.
They told her
but
that
it wasn't
when
a
in the original pullover, when she got pulled over originally, they was like, "Yo, that's not our intentions. We're not out here to hurt you or kill you or anything like that." When she straight told them, like, "Y'all gonna have to murder me," they told her like, "Nah, nobody's here to get hurt." It was a simple stop.
All right, guys, we got one more caller on the line. We're under 5 minutes. I'm sorry, we have one more caller on the line. We're under 5 minutes, so I'm going to try to get them in. That way we can close out the show. Hold on. Caller, what's your name and where you from? Hello?
Yes. You got a comment? I guess we lost the caller.
I don't know. Oh, we're about to close out the show. We got less than 4 minutes onto the show. I think we had a good show tonight. I'm glad that all the callers called in. Jabbar, Alex, Kenya, thank you definitely for calling in and staying with us this time. The caller has called. Oh, no, they hung up again. I don't know what's going on. But we're about to wrap up the show. Anybody got any words they want to say before we end it?
You want to go first,
J-Ro? It's important that we go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to quickly say what Teresa was saying. I think that when we're saying what she should have done, we also have to keep in mind that if it's true, she had mental issues. The things that we're talking about should have been done in something of a rational person. I need to mention that, which is why things were done the way that they were done. Better say that right quick.
J-Ro?
You already know J-Ro609 everywhere. I'm social, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. So just get at me.
Clint?
Same here. You could get at me on Snapchat at the King's Truth, Instagram, Clint Black, CLINTBLAQ, kingstruth.com. That's the blog. Hit us up. Hit me up there. I'm always on. Holler at me.
And, of course, I'm Sunny. And you can reach me on Twitter at IamSunny_D. Follow me on Instagram under the same thing. My blog is unreservedlyme.wordpress.com. You can follow our blogs on WordPress, which is gftradioshow.com. And thank you guys for listening tonight. Can you want to say anything before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I'm about to get my Instagram handle, too. Y'all not going to just leave me out. RedRaven609 on Instagram. I don't do Snapchat. I'm over 30. I'm grown. I don't do that. Clint, slap yourself. Or on Facebook at my real name, Kenya Punch. That's it.
All right. Thank you guys tonight. You can continue tweeting us if you so choose. If you want to leave some comments on our Facebook page, look up GST Radio on Facebook, and definitely chime in there too. Thank you guys, and have a great night. Guys, want to say bye?
All right, bye.
All right, y'all. Deuces. See you in 7 days.
Yep. Bye.
3, 2, 1.
Backed by popular demand, Friday's Endless Apps.
The people have spoken.
You wanted endless choice of endless apps for just $10.
You got them.
Mozzarella sticks? Endless. Boneless buffalo wings?
Yep.
Endless. Loaded potato skins? Endless. Your choice, your call.
You're welcome.
For a limited time, endless choice of endless apps. $10.
On Fridays.
At participating restaurants for a limited time. While supplies last, other restrictions apply.